Hey, it's time for that dating and relationship advice you love so much. One of the most common romance novel plots is this rich, womanizing playboy, right, that finds an amazing woman. Then he realizes the error of his ways and he settles down to be tamed by this amazing woman. But is this realistic? Will a man change for the right woman? Let's find out. Hey, and I count on your support to make this channel work. So when you get a chance, do the big three. Number one, make sure you like and subscribe. It's all good stuff. Why not? Number two, make sure you turn on the notifications. Click that little bell indicator next to the subscribe button. And number three, if you have any suggestions or you have a question, leave that in the comment section below. Oh, and stick around to the very, very end, because after the credits roll, I sneak in a little extra info for you. Well, we all change over the course of our lives. The truth is that most of us change in ways that aren't, well, they're not planned. We just wake up one day and we're 20 pounds heavier or 20 years older, or we get divorced and we need to learn about how to date and make a relationship work again. Let's face it, most of us got married way too young. When you're in your 20s, you can meet people all the time. It's easy, and if you break up, no big deal, right? Cry for a week or two and then you go out and you find a quick replacement. But after you're in your 30s or 40s, things don't work like that anymore. Finding the right man or the right woman isn't as easy. So here are a few tips about making your man change for you. Well, first of all, will a man change for the right woman? Will he change for the woman he loves? It all depends on how you imagine your relationship. If you're picking a man who's not quite right at the moment and you're hoping you can shape him up, sculpt him into a guy you can be happy with, you might be disappointed. So let me share a few of these tips. Tip number one is, how does he need to change for you exactly? It's perfectly understandable to want a man to settle down and be monogamous with you. That's healthy change in a relationship that signifies going from just dating to more committed, right? So you have to understand what are the ways you need him to change. If it's just to be more committed and monogamous and stop dating other people, that's understandable. Of course you'd want that. If it doesn't come naturally for him, that's when you need to step in and figure out what's going on here, because it should. A man will naturally just start dating only you if he's really into you. But if you need him to change in specific ways, well, I might ask you, why aren't you choosing that guy in the first place? Why not simply have a good list of qualities that you're looking for and then find a man that matches them? It's far easier to choose the kind of guy you want right off the bat than it is to have to fix him or modify or change him down the road. That seems more like laziness to me. Tip number two is, why do you need him to change? This is one of those questions you have to ask yourself. Why do you need him to change? Do you have a history of needing men to change for you? Does this prove something? Again, if you're not choosing the man you want to begin with and you're just choosing a guy who conveniently will get into a relationship with you, you're probably reverse engineering your relationship, and you're probably suffering because of it. Meaning that you're choosing the guy first and then shoehorning him into what you want him to be later on. Tip number three, he'll change a little, but not a lot. You have to understand that we all change, bit by bit, day by day. We're always changing. Unfortunately, this kind of change is usually the unconscious kind, meaning that we don't notice the change that's going on until we see it in the mirror. The other part is that no one really wants to change drastically. It feels like we would be sacrificing our identity in some way if we did that. Men are no different about this, by the way. You need to manage your expectations with him. He's not going to change significantly. Even if there are a lot of changes a guy would like to make, he wants to do them on his own schedule. If you try to push him onto a big self-improvement plan, you're going to find yourself scaring him off. Tip number four, don't make him a project, okay? The fact is that men have a primary need in relationships, and it's one that most women aren't aware of. Do you know what it is? Yes, a man needs to be accepted by you. Here's the rub. How accepted can he feel if he thinks he's your pet project, that you need to change his wardrobe, his friends, his house, his apartment, his hobbies, his habits, his looking at other women, his goals and aspirations? Okay, the looking at other women, that we'll talk about in another video. But let's face it, there are a metric ton of things to potentially change about a guy, right? Like when he cleans his ear with his car keys on the way out of the restaurant. Yeah, I've actually seen guys do this with my own eyes. But if you set about changing a whole laundry list of things about him, don't be surprised when he doesn't respond with happiness and love. Next tip, it's a trade. If you want him to invest in the relationship and change for you, you need some quid pro quo, as Clarice Starling might say, meaning you have to give him a little something in return. Don't expect a man to subscribe to a makeover without there being something in it for him, too. A guy will gladly participate in a self-development adventure if he sees that you're going to follow along and improve stuff about you. Some ideas: get back to the gym. Show them that you really care about how you look. This one's really big for guys because most men experience a woman who works really hard to look good to get into the relationship, but once she's in it, well, things don't go the same way. Update your wardrobe. If you've been out of the dating scene for any amount of time, you might not have the freshest clothes. So yeah, it sucks to go out there and have to buy a new fashion, but it's worth it. Don't think of it as something you do for him. It's something you're doing for you. And get hip again. If you're dating after a long break or after you just got divorced and you haven't been out there in a while, you might have stopped staying current with certain things like books, music, movies, and just popular culture. Get caught back up on your Netflix queue and other areas of pop culture. Don't enslave yourself to popular, but be aware so you have good conversation. You're going to find that a guy is much more amenable to changing for you if you show goodwill by upgrading yourself at the same time. It's only fair, isn't it? Tip number 6, it's not going to be overnight. Okay, in the same way that you can't expect him to change everything about himself, you got to realize he's not going to make a radical change overnight. It's going to be a little bit at a time. This is why it's really important for you to be patient while he moves forward. If you push too hard, he could go silent, distant, and then withdraw from the relationship. And then once he does, you're going to need to know exactly how to pull him back in. This is also a reason you want to keep your scope of changes pretty small at first. The next tip is, it's not always whether he will change, but how much he's going to change. Some guys are just never going to be capable of changing in a big way. I already mentioned this. Most people really can't do that, if we're being honest here. So more important for you is to know how much of a change you'd like to see from him. If he's a guy who's into reading girly magazines, if he's the kind of guy that goes to strip clubs and watches porn, what do you think the chances are of getting him to quit all of that? Probably pretty slim. But if he's a guy who has been dating around for the last year, but he's been engaged once or twice, there's probably a good chance you could get a committed relationship with this guy. You got to know your limits. From all the coaching and research I've done over my last 20 years of doing this work, yes, 20 years, women are often far too concerned about making a man want to commit. He'll naturally commit to you if he senses that you're a high-value woman. He'll want to win you. He'll see a challenge and he will step up to it. We stop hesitating. Men stop hesitating to get into a relationship when we see that there's a prize for us to win. Now, how are you presenting yourself as that prize right now? Do you feel like a prize even? No? Ultimately, change happens from within because, well, not because someone made us change. Look at your own life. See how many times you changed because somebody demanded you to change. More than likely you changed because you saw the benefit for doing it. If you want him to change for you, why not show him the woman that he's looking for, that he should be working to get? Do you know what triggers a man's irresistible desire for you? Do you know how a man decides which woman he's going to stay with and which one he's going to walk away from? Or which woman he's going to make a commitment to and which one he's going to keep around only as his booty call? Do you want to be his one and only? Well, there's things that a high-value woman knows about that most other women just don't. She knows how men think, what men think, and why men choose her over other women. And it has nothing to do with her looks, her weight, or how well she dresses. Getting him to fall for you has everything to do with understanding men. Most women are convinced that they can discover the secret in the advice that they get from their friends, or they can discover it in some magazine article, or even on the internet. But the truth is that you need to learn this from the one place you might not expect to. Look, I've spent almost 20 years researching and reporting from the other side for women. I'm a guy, yes, you can probably figure that out on your own. I've dated dozens of women, and I chose one as my soulmate. She was the woman that I finally married. Do you want to know what her secret is? How does she got me to do that? If you want to know how to make a guy yours forever, you got to understand what we're thinking. And guess what? It's going to be very difficult for a woman to ever really tell you that. 1 in a million can do that, and most of them aren't telling you that in magazine articles, and they're probably not your friends. So why not get it straight from me? I can show you, I can tell you, and I can help you. Stop making this kind of seeking on the internet just entertainment for you. Make it really count. Make it really do something. Get the relationship you really want. Go to this link you see below me here. That's right. It's datingfire.com/ free book. That's datingfire.com/free book. I'm giving away a free ebook, and it's a really important one because it shows you the reasons why men pull away from relationships, why you're probably not able to get past that 4 to 6 week mark or those first few dates, and why guys just disappear on you. I'm going to show you the real reasons men run from relationships, how to figure out if he's still interested in you, and if he really is afraid to commit. Go grab your copy now. Go to datingfire.com/free book. datingfire.com/free book. And hey, before you run away, make sure you do the big three. Make sure you like and subscribe to the videos. This is good stuff and it helps support the channel, so why wouldn't you do that? Number 2, turn on notifications so you know when the next video comes out. Number 3, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, leave them down in the comment section below. Hey, this is Cavallo from datingfire.com. Make sure you stick around. Make sure you wait till right after the credits because I got one more little tip for you. And as always, live and love with passion. Hey, one of the most common areas that a woman would like to make sure a man changes is in how he approaches a relationship. And the first way is to tame his desires for other women, right? But here's a shocking, well, pretty shocking truth. Men aren't interested in other women if he's still chasing you. Okay, he's not interested in other women if he's still working to win you over. This is really important because most women are under the false assumption that if a guy were given a choice, he'd sleep with as many women as he could. That's not true. Guys only sleep around when he doesn't get that much action when he was younger and you're the first person he's been with, so now he's learning how to sow his wild oats, or he's got some self-esteem issues that compel him to seek this kind of validation through sexual conquests, or he's realized that this relationship is not going to fulfill his needs, or it really isn't what he's looking for. But he's also not going to turn down the bedroom action with you either, so he's going to keep coming back for that. How do you make him chase you? That's where you've got to understand how men think. And another reason, you need to get my book. So go on over to datingfire.com/free book, and I'll be seeing you next time.